welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen. With me today is longtime listener, poet laureate, and tie master Anne-Marie Young. This is your Daily Dose of Happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today. And I have to say, Anne-Marie, we missed you last week. I mean, it's good to have you back.
Oh, it's good to be back. I've literally missed my Daily Dose of Happy. I don't like not doing my Monday stint.
I know exactly what you mean. I know if I were missing it, I'd be missing it. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah, but it's good to be back. Thank you, Walt.
Great to have you back. And we are joined today by a special guest who has an interesting take here. He has an engineering background, but he's also applied that background and his understanding that comes with it to identifying and creating a permanent solution for anxiety, or at least so he says. We're going to learn more about that. So his name is Daniel Packard. And Daniel, first of all, welcome to the program. How are you doing today?
Thank you very much, Walt. And I appreciate the intro, especially the intro with your velvety radio voice. I wish everybody got an intro every day. I do, because I come on podcasts and I share the work that we're doing, but I just wish everybody, if it every morning, it's like waking up now is Jenny. Jenny is excellent at making smoothies and giving belly rubs. Give it up for Jenny. I just wish, coming to the world now is Ronald. Ronald is excellent at making cereal in the middle of the night. Give it up for, I think have you ever thought of making sort of ringtones for people?
Well, I was just going to say, we should all have our own theme music, too. Everybody should have their own theme music that they wake up to every day.
Absolutely.
I mean, can you imagine? Well, first of all, it could get noisy in a big household. So you have to have different, baffling rooms, so to speak, to baffle off the sound. Otherwise, it becomes cacophony. But that would be pretty cool, that becomes your way of saying, hey, I'm here, world, be ready for me. Let's go. Start the day.
I wouldn't know if it's a thing. I mean, it's a great idea. I also, I can't say if it's the best one, but I did for a while wake up every morning to "We Are the Champions" by Queen, and I gotta tell you, it's a good way to start. I gotta get back to that. Let's do it now. Let's just do the chorus. Myself, you, Walt, and Anne-Marie, and to your dear listener, we'll just do the cool chorus and feel the healing motivational love of Queen. We'll just say the "We Are the Champions" part. 3, 2, 1. We are the champions.
We're lousy.
And we'll keep on fighting. All right. It works way better.
Voice for that chorus.
I'm glad that Queen did not record their album through a three-way Zoom. It just would not have sounded as good.
No. Apologies to Freddie Mercury, but
yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, JB in the audience is singing, so that's fantastic.
That's cool. That's good. Okay. So, Daniel, all right. So, first of all, you got to tell us a bit of a story. Tell us how this whole thing came about, because let's be honest, this is not the usual path for a mechanical engineer. So, how did we get here?
Well, I think it's important your audience knows that. And I don't like to talk about myself. As you can tell, I'm quite shy. I'm just a delicate little wallflower.
That's my first impression, right?
I will share my story. However, I'm always being mindful of your listener and making sure that if they're going to give me their time and their trust, I want them to get value out of it. So the only reason I would even tell my story is because my story would help your audience get something. And while I'd love to believe that they just care about me, for the most part, people care about themselves. I certainly do. No disrespect for your audience. And so I want to be clear about what we're even going to be talking about, what my story is even going to be about. And because what we do is innovative and it's much more effective than what your audience is. So I like to be very clear what the value I'm bringing to your audience so that they, their time is valuable. And what I'm going to share with you right now is, well, let me ask your audience if this sounds familiar. You struggle with something that you might either call fear, insecurity, anxiety, anxious feelings, something like that. And it's holding you back and you don't like it. It's not ideal. And because your audience is self-aware and wants to be better people, they go looking for help. They go to maybe a therapist or a psychologist or a doctor, a spiritual teacher, a guru, a coach, a book, a video. And what they learn through these various avenues of help are usually tips and tools and insights. And these tips and tools and insights, they usually don't get your audience what they really want. What your audience really wants is a solution. They want this fear or anxiety gone. But I bet your audience knows that when they went looking for help, what they got, these tips, tools, and insights, it didn't solve their problem. It just managed it. It helped them manage it, helped them make it less horrible. Now, there's value in that. You know, it's better than nothing. If you're in a boat and there's a hole in the boat and your boat is sinking and someone says, hey, I've got a bucket. And if you bail the water out every day for a couple hours, you won't sink, you won't drown. It's better than nothing. It's better than drowning, but you're stuck bailing that boat out every single day, holding you back. Energy is going into that instead of just enjoying. So what we figured out was basically how to metaphorically plug the hole in the boat so the boat can sail and you can get the boat to the beach and just enjoy life and spend a life on the beach enjoying life instead of bailing the boat. Now, how do we do this? We do this because I'm going to share with your audience, it's not about feeling less anxious. What we discovered is that anxiety is a symptom of not feeling safe. When you don't feel safe,
Sure.
you will feel a feeling of fear, which you might call insecure, anxious, worried, panicked. And we figured out over 8 years how to develop a process so that you can just feel safe. Just because you wake up feeling safe. That's what we figured. And when you feel safe, the doubt, the insecurity, and the anxiety go away. Now, I know your audience likes the sound of this, but they don't believe me. They're like, Daniel, I haven't felt safe since I was a kid. What are you talking about? So I'm not going to try to convince you this is possible. Don't trust me. This sounds too good to be true. I get it. I'm just going to share with you a perceptual framework so that you know that it's possible. And then at the end, I'm going to send you to my website to get a free technique so you can feel this for yourself. So don't believe me, believe your own experience. But I want to share with your audience how it's possible to be free of anxiety and fear permanently. And the dirty little secret that the mental health community doesn't want you to know. And then I'm going to share with your audience a clear path forward so that you don't have to spend a lifetime bailing a boat out. You can just be on the beach enjoying life. It's way better. Trust me, I know.
Okay. But you got to tell us the story. I'm still waiting for where did this come from in your life? I mean, there's usually some reason why you develop this kind of thing in the first place, whoever you are, you know, whatever the guest is, they've got some motivation, something that happened, something they went through that led them to do this in the first place. And we're curious to know what happened with you.
So I know that with a lot of people, they're in a lot of pain or they struggle and then they overcome some struggle and then they share that with people. But that's not me, Walt. I was born perfect. I was hatched from an egg at Roswell, New Mexico, and I just never had any problems.
I love it.
Oh, wait. Now that you mention it, yeah, I didn't have issues. I had subscriptions. Okay. So where did this come from? So what our company is passionate about is results. Permanent, measurable results. And the reason results matter to me is because growing up, my dad was a scientist and he was also an inventor. And I would see him invent things that worked and got results. And I thought this was just the coolest superpower ever, just to make something out of scratch. And he once told me, he said, you know, Daniel, if you want to make the world better, don't just settle with what the world is giving you. You can invent something better. And I thought, you go, Dad. Yeah. And so as a kid, I would invent things for my bike, for my sailboat, for my room. Remember in Ferris Bueller's Day Off where he had like those strings and things, and like that was me. I was a little inventor and I would make things that work. And it was wonderful and satisfying. But he also said something to me. He said, Daniel, what I like about science is that a lot of people claim to know what they're talking about, but it's the person that gets results. That's who knows what they're talking about. Anyone can have a theory or an idea, but who's getting results? Results matter. And that stuck with me. And so I wanted to become an inventor and make things that work and get results. And so I went to UC Berkeley Engineering School and I got properly trained how to look at complex problems, break them down into individual mechanisms, build a prototype for something, and then test it. get data, get results, and then optimize the prototype until you have something that really just works and gets results. It works. It's very satisfying, and it helps the world. And so the good news was I was properly trained to make things work, make machines work. The downside is, and maybe I missed it, they didn't teach me how to make relationships work. I don't know if that was in quantum theory and I just missed it. I don't know. But I came out of engineering school, fell in love, and spoiler alert, did not live happily ever after. We loved each other very much, but she, I don't want to gossip. She didn't have the ability to treat me well. I later found out I was basically in an abusive relationship, but I was too insecure and codependent to leave. And so I made a mistake that your audience would never make, which is I stayed in a relationship way too long. And when I came out of the relationship about 2 weeks later, somebody interrupted me and my body was just filled with terror and panic. And I thought, oh, this isn't good. Well, maybe it'll go away. Next day, somebody was running late to pick me up. And I, again, got filled with terror. And I thought, that's 2 days in a row. That is really not a good sign. And I basically find out that I have severe anxiety and complex PTSD as complications from the abuse I was dealing with. So like your audience, I go looking for help. And I go to therapists. I go to psychologists. I go to doctors. I do the retreats. I read the books. I do the meditations. I do the affirmations. I did the ayahuasca. I did CGT and CBT and EFT and MOUSC. I did all the letters. I did all the letters from experts who had letters at the name. I lettered it out and hoping after 10 years and $100,000, didn't solve anything. Still had it. Still anxious. Still had the PTSD. And at times it would even get worse. And then my friends and family who didn't want to be around me because they didn't want to be around a person in pain, they walked away, leaving me feeling even more broken and alone. And Walt and Anne-Marie, I wouldn't have taken my own life. I knew something was unfolding, but I definitely got why people do. I got it. Because when you have this and the experts can't help you, you feel trapped and hopeless. So why keep going? So I got it. But I knew just something bigger than me was unfolding. But I was scared and I was pissed and I looked up to the big wisdom, universe, God, whoever's up there pulling the strings. And I was like, what the heck do you, I didn't say heck. I said, like, what the fudge what do you want from me? I've been at this 10 years, 100 grand, all in, trying to figure this out. What do you want me to do? I'll do it. And I heard this basic voice, which was kind of what my dad said. It said, if something's not working, invent something better. I went, oh, I thought that meant like bike parts. I didn't think you meant like, but I really had this awareness that this $1 trillion a year industry of therapy, psychology, personal development, spirituality, it manages things, but it doesn't solve anything, really. And I thought, that's just bad results, and results matter. $1 trillion a year gets spent. And I said, could we invent something better? And I also remember what my dad said, which is results matter. And I looked at this industry, this $1 trillion industry, and I said, they don't really measure results. They don't talk about results. They don't back up their results. And results matter. And so I started my own research company with the idea, could we engineer a permanent solution for fear and anxiety? I didn't know if we could, but I was in a lot of pain. I saw the world in a lot of pain. And I said, could we invent something better that gets real permanent results? And we went at it. We spent a total of 8 years, over $1 million in research and development. We work with 3,000 people over 5 continents. And about 2 years into the research, because I was one of the test cases, I woke up one morning and I felt calm and I felt safe. And I thought, well, that's got to be temporary. There's no way we actually figured it out. Next day goes by, next day goes back. I have been calm and chill as a cucumber for 8 years in a row.
Yay.
Yeah, it's awesome. But more importantly, my team said, oh, we did it. I was like, no, we didn't do it. We did it with me. But we got to get this to the world. And to get this to the world, we got to make something better. We got to make something that we can put online. We got to make something that's affordable. We got to make something that gets consistent results. And so that's what we did. We spent another 6 years to build an online program that's step-by-step, simple, easy to do, and now it gets a 90% success rate, no matter what type of fear and anxiety you have. And because we care about results, when people do our program, you don't pay at the beginning of the program, you pay at the end of the program once you have measurable results. Results matter. Wow. And the other reason that results matter is, again, on this podcast, all I can share with you is insights. I can't give you a result. But that's why at the end, I want you to go download the free training with technique and apply this to yourself so you can get a real result. Don't listen to me. No, trust me. Get a result that you can trust. Because with this industry, what I'm trying to wake people up to is start demanding results from the people that you ask to help you. Results matter. What do you think about that, Walt and Anne-Marie?
I agree totally.
Yeah,
I mean,
same.
if you aren't getting results, there's no point.
Well, that sounds smart, which it is. And if you go to a car mechanic, if they don't fix your car, you find another mechanic or you don't pay them. Or if you hire a landscaper and you come back and they don't change your garden, you have a problem with that. You might not hire them again, or you might not pay them. But is it fair to say that your average person pays a lot of money to therapists, psychologists, coaches, gurus, retreats, and apps, and it doesn't get them permanent results, but yet they keep doing it?
I'd say that happens with a degree of frequency, sure.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to do is wake people up, because when I spent this $100,000, I didn't have a problem with it. I just thought, oh, maybe it's my fault. Maybe it's just a life of never-ending onion layers. I didn't stop and go, wait, this is BS. This is a lot of money. Man, if I had a broken leg and 10 years and $100,000 later, I still had a broken leg, I'd be like, this doctor sucks. But I spent thousands on these retreats and gurus and never said they're not getting results. So we can't change what I call the improvement industrial complex. They're going to collect their $1 trillion a year and not deliver permanent results. They're doing the best they can. But I'm trying to wake your audience up to see this is a real problem, that we pay and we don't get great results. And I want you to demand results from the people you give your money and time and trust to.
Yeah, that's quite understandable, actually. I do want to throw in one proviso. I do think that people are able to get results in many cases, but I don't think it's true for everybody in all cases. I think that, even your program, there's 10% that don't get the results. So, it's just an illustration of how there's no one size fits all for everybody. But there are certain things that are more effective than others, that are more consistently effective than others. And that's always good to look at.
It is. Now, I will say, when I say results, I mean permanent results. I mean it's gone and it doesn't come back. That's what I'm saying tends to be very, very rare in the improvement industrial complex. Now, if your audience members have found things out that get you permanent results, great. You don't need me. But if you have anything that you would describe as fear, worry, panic, or anxiety, I have a feeling they haven't found that. I have a feeling they've just gotten, glorified Band-Aids. So if that resonates with your audience and you want permanent results, then yeah, I'm here for you. And if anybody out there has permanently cured their fears, then I want to talk to you, because that's also impressive. But the other thing I want to say is, it's not whether you get results or not. The question is, do results matter? I went to these therapists, psychologists, doctors. They didn't measure. They didn't see how I was doing when I came in and when I came out. And when I came out and didn't get any results, it didn't matter to them. They didn't say, you know what, I'm sorry, I didn't get your results. This isn't your fault. Maybe I need to be better at what I do. Every now and then, we're not able to help people in 6 weeks, which isn't a lot of time. And I will reach out to that person. I'll say, you know what, I'm sorry. Like, you trusted us and we didn't deliver. We're still working on it. And I'll tell them, this isn't your fault. This is our fault. We haven't figured this out. So it's not who gets results or not. It's the staggering non-caring about results that saddens me. I heard this from a therapist, because she agreed with me. She's like, you're right, we don't get permanent results. And she told me that in her therapy school training, in her certification training, one of her teachers said, a third of the people you help, you're going to help. A third, you're not going to help at all. And a third will actually get worse while you work at them. And she told me this. Now, the issue isn't what this person said. If that's your success rate, that's your success rate. The fact that everybody in that school didn't walk out being like, that is horrible results. If I went to engineering school and my engineering teacher said, we're going to show you how to build a bridge. 1/3 of those bridges will work. 1/3 will be so expensive they'll never get built. And 1/3 will collapse, killing thousands. I wouldn't sit there and be, tell me more. I would say, that is a horrible track record. Get me the heck out of here. So that's my issue, is that this $1 trillion improvement industrial complex doesn't seem to care that much about permanent results. I do, and it's what your audience cares about.
Okay,
So I'm intrigued. What's this method?
Yeah, JB was asking that. What's the program?
Well, I appreciate you asking. I'm not going to tell you because it doesn't matter. The reason it doesn't matter is because even if I tell your audience what's in the program, they are so skeptical that a solution to this is even possible, they're not going to care about our program. So I'm not here to tell anybody about the program because my mission is to get people to the program. But to get to the program, I don't even talk about the program. I'm going to educate your audience why this is even possible, because then it'll create some hope, because your average person will hear what I'm saying, Daniel, it's too good to be true. You can't just solve this stuff. I've had this my whole life. I've paid all this money. It's confusing. It's complicated. So here's what I'll explain to you is a perceptual framework to understand that fear and anxiety is actually a simple problem and it's solvable. How's that sound?
Good start.
I'd agree.
Okay. So part of the reason that we were able to solve it was our approach. Two parts. One is we wanted to solve it. Your average mental health professional, therapist, psychologist goes to college, learns management tools and techniques, passes them on to their clients, makes some money. The client comes back and it's a good little business and they get to help some people manage things. It's fine. But they're okay managing things. We weren't. I'm an engineer. Results. I want to solve this bad boy for me and the planet. So part of why we solved it is we tried to solve it. But the other reason we tried to solve it is, how did we try to solve it? Well, we didn't try to solve it the way everyone else has been trying to solve it, which is primarily psychologically or spiritually. Now, psychology and spirituality are valuable. They usually give you theoretical insights, ways of understanding what's going on so that you have a map. They also give you constructs and ideas of how to understand what's going on. And that's valuable, but it usually doesn't solve something. If something isn't solvable, you generally can't solve things with theory. You can solve things not with psychology or spirituality, but with mechanics. So we approach this mechanically, not spiritually or psychologically, mechanically. So I want to do a kind of a role play with you two and your audience to show that maybe your fear and anxiety isn't complicated. Maybe it is very simple and mechanical. And if it's mechanical, then you can understand what's going on and fix things quickly. So you guys open to a little role play?
Sure.
Okay. So we're going to do a little role play. And the point of this is to see that perhaps what you're feeling is simple and mechanical. And in this role play, I'm going to ask you a very simple question: is what I just did in our role play, do you feel less safe or more safe? So I don't want you to go like, oh, I feel this way, or this reminded me of my ex, or, this reminds me, like, we don't want to explore too much into all the many layers. We just want to say, like, is this sort of seemingly simple and mechanical? And I'm just going to ask you, do you feel more safe or less safe? And the reason is because anxiety is a symptom. It's a symptom, a mechanical symptom of not feeling safe. If you don't feel safe from within, you'll feel a feeling called fear. And then we'll label that feeling of fear, and we'll call it anxiety, worry, panic attacks, insecure, self-doubt. But can you see that really, on some level, anxiety is just a mechanical symptom of not feeling safe from the inside out?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's inner mechanics lesson number 1. You don't have an anxiety problem. You have a not feeling safe from within problem. So there you go. Okay. So now I'm going to show you that there are very simple, predictable things that can either make you feel unsafe or safe. Okay? So in this role play, I'm going to be talking to you, Walt, you, Anne-Marie, and your audience. And when I say the word you, I'm talking to you, Walt, you, Anne-Marie, and you, the audience. Okay? So let's first practice our little role play with the word you. Pop quiz to you. You means Walt, Anne-Marie, and you, audience member. Okay. Pop quiz to you. Anxiety is A, a symptom of being around your in-laws too much, or B, a symptom of not feeling safe?
Hey. I'll choose B. I'll choose B. Yeah.
B. Gold stars to you. Okay. And by you, I mean you, Walt, you, Anne Marie. Okay. So here we go. In this role play, I'm talking to you, and we are friends in this role play. Okay? And on the count of 3, I want you to say, hey, Daniel, I need your help. Okay? We're friends. And on the count of 3, I want you to say, hey, Daniel, I need some help. Okay? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Hey, Daniel,
I need
some help.
I don't know why you're telling me, and honestly, I don't really care. I care about all these other people. Maybe after I've taken care of them, maybe I'll get to you last, but honestly, I need them to like me, so I'm really dealing with that. You're dead last, so if you're in any type of danger or you're worried, I don't really care. You're kind of on your own, and actually, if I'm upset, I'll attack you because I don't know how to do any different.
This is an interesting sales pitch, I have to say.
Okay. If you experience any type of behavior like that, is that going to make you feel less safe and anxious or more safe and calm?
Oh, I'm feeling quite crappy.
Yeah, I think I'll go with that one too.
Yes, very good. And you don't have to think about it or analyze it. It's almost like reflexive. Okay, phase 2. Let's say I've treated you crappy, and then you actually tell me. You speak up. So on the count of 3, I want you to say, the way you're treating me leaves me feeling unsafe. Okay? On the count of 3, I want you to say, the way you're treating me leaves me feeling unsafe. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
The way you're
treating me makes me feel unsafe.
I honestly don't care. And seriously, why do you even feel like this? Everything is fine. There's no tigers around. You have a great life. Why are you freaking out like this? Also, why are you bringing it to me? I'm trying to be happy, and you just bring your drama and your baggage to me. I don't care. Get whatever this is and what you're feeling away from me now.
I have to agree. I don't know why I'm bringing this to you either. I mean,
I've walked off. I walked off 5 minutes ago.
Does this mechanically leave you feeling safe and calm or less safe and anxious?
Oh, definitely less safe and anxious.
Yes. Okay. Now, I want to be clear. This is a role play. I would never treat any of you like this. I'm doing this for the sake of science so that you can feel your inner mechanics at play. Okay. So that's the end of what's not working. Now, the nice thing about understanding the mechanics of something is you know what's connected to what. And if you wiggle this will move over here, or if this isn't working here and we fix this, it's mechanical. So if you know how to make something move one way, then understand the mechanics of how to move it the other way. So I've made you feel less safe and anxious. Now let's see if we can flip it using the power of inner mechanics. So on the count of 3, same thing. You say to me, hey, Daniel, the way you're treating me leaves me feeling unsafe. On the count of 3, Daniel, the way you're treating me leaves me feeling unsafe. To you, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Daniel, the way you're treating me makes me feel unsafe.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for telling me. I feel horrible. You're not even anxious or unsafe. It makes sense you feel this way given how crappy I've treated you. And I feel bad that I've even put you in this position. So I'm glad you told me, because that's a wake-up call to me to be a much better friend to you so that you can trust me and feel safe around me. And I'm going to do a better job. But in the meantime, I just want to say I'm really sorry. Okay, does that leave you feeling less safe and anxious or more safe and calm?
Oh, certainly more safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you said the word certainly, Walt. And the reason it's certainly is because it's almost mechanical. So can you sort of just see on some level that this feeling of feeling unsafe may actually just be less psychological or spiritual, and theoretically there's maybe something simple and mechanical going on? Can you kind of see that?
I'm not sure there's a big distinction, but I'll go with it for yes.
Okay, I appreciate that. Now, in this role play, I'm a friend and I'm being crappy to you. And what I'm telling your audience is, if there are things coming from the outside world, I want them to see that it will mechanically leave you feeling unsafe. But also, can you see that on some level, you're in a relationship with yourself?
Sure.
And can you see that on some level, you're sort of crappy to yourself?
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fairly epidemic.
Yes, it is. So if me being crappy to you leaves you feeling unsafe, you being crappy will mechanically leave you feeling unsafe.
Yes.
Simple. So I'm sure you have a lot of questions, but again, what I'm trying to create is a perceptual framework to realize that maybe this unsafe feeling, aka anxious, maybe isn't super complicated. Maybe it is simple and mechanical. If it's simple and mechanical, it means it's solvable.
Okay. Oh, is that the end? Okay. I was waiting. I thought there was more coming after that. Sorry.
That's okay. I appreciate you leaving space for me to talk, but no, that's my point.
That's it. Okay. So now that we have the point, give us some more clues about what the solution ends up being, because you indicate that the solution is mechanical, but you haven't really given us a whole lot more beyond that.
That's true, because I'm just trying to create an experience to lay out the framework that this is simple, because your audience thinks it's complicated. Because again, if I tell your audience, hey, this is simple, they can't process it. It's just not their experience. So I'm trying to give them a new experience. So here's the other reason that this is simple and solvable. It's because we went to the actual correct location of the problem. So what do I mean by that? So when we set off to solve this, we said, we're not an expert. We're not therapists, psychologists. Like we're not vested in any pre-existing paradigm. So let's look at this with fresh eyes, because the experts aren't solving this. So maybe they're not so experty, you know? I think that's a word. I just coined a word. But also when I was growing up, my mom told me the story of Florence Nightingale, who was this nurse in the 1850s. And she saw that more soldiers were dying in recovery than in battle. And she went to the doctors and the experts and the generals and said, hey, could we deal with this? And basically, she was told no, like, don't deal with it. Just accept it. It's part of war. But she wasn't an expert. She wasn't a doctor. She just wanted to help. And so she was kind of an outsider just paying attention. And she was the one that figured out that the reason men were dying was from infection because they weren't changing the bandages. The men were over by the toilets and there wasn't proper ventilation. And she was the one that figured this out and tested it. And it was this big breakthrough. And it was something simple, lying under all the experts' noses, that dropped the death rate by 99%. And it's because she was an outsider and not an expert. So I told my team, let's not take what the experts say. Let's look at this with fresh eyes. And the first thing we did is look at the way people are taught about mental health and anxiety. We're taught with anxiety, usually, that it's a problem of the mind. You know, we're told, quiet your negative thinking, don't think so much about the future. We're given pills to target the neurotransmitters in our mind. It's called mental health. It's got the word like mental right in there. So the experts primarily tell us this is a problem of the mind. So your listeners go and try and solve this at the mind level. Now, if it is in the mind, great. But going at it on the mind level is not solving anything. Modern psychology has been around 100 years. Spirituality has been around for like 5,000. It's not solving it. So we said, is it coming from the mind? I don't know. And we started to challenge that belief. And once we challenged the belief, the answer revealed itself, and it was dead simple. So the experts tell us it's a problem of the mind. Okay, well, let's pay attention. Let's challenge that. Do people say, I think anxious or I feel anxious?
Yeah, it's definitely feeling.
Yeah, definitely feeling. Yeah. And where do we feel it? Well, you'll feel it in your throat, your chest, your heart, your stomach.
Stomach, yeah.
So the experts say this is a problem of the mind, but listen to those words: throat, chest, heart, stomach. Does that sound like the mind to you or more like the body?
Depends on how you define the mind, but the way you're defining it, yeah, I would say it's the body.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm saying it's the body because it is the body. Anxiety is not a problem of the mind. The mind is a symptom of the body. For reasons which I'll explain, your body feels unsafe. Then your mind thinks there's a problem and starts to spin out about the problem. Your mind follows the body. And your audience kind of knows this. Have you ever noticed that when you're feeling a bit calmer, your mind usually tends to notice more good, positive things? And then when you're feeling more unsafe and anxious, usually your mind tends to start noticing more problems and scary things. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, that's true.
Sure.
Yeah. That's the mind following the body, not the other way around. So to your listeners, anxiety is not a problem of the mind. It's coming from your body. This is not theory. This is not some cool concept. When we saw this, we started developing our tools that just focused on the body. And not only did my fear and anxiety go away and stay away, but the other test cases did as well. So if you're listening to this and you've had fear and anxiety for a really long time, you're probably blaming yourself, thinking this is your fault, you're broken, there's something wrong with you. No, the experts, while well-intentioned, had an incomplete model of understanding, and they sent you to the wrong location. And so you've been looking in the wrong place, getting more and more confused, feeling more and more hopeless. So I'm here to tell your audience that there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. You do not have an anxiety problem. You have a location problem. And to you, Walt and Anne-Marie, can you understand that if you go from the wrong location of the problem to the actual right location of the problem, can you see it's a lot more likely you're going to get good results?
Sure. Yeah.
Now, Walt,
We need to know how, though. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to make a guess here, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. I know that what I'm sharing is next level cool and meaningful, because if what I'm saying is true, it has huge implications for your audience. But I'm guessing from you, Walt, and you, Anne-Marie, inside you, you've got something which I'll describe as either skepticism, doubt, prove it to me. Something's going on your end, and I could be wrong. Am I wrong?
Well, there's always something going on. I think if I were going to summarize for myself what it is, I'm just waiting for what comes next. I try not to prejudge. I try to find out, okay, what's the data?
Well, I appreciate that, because that is all that matters. But usually if someone says, okay, what comes next? Usually it's because they're not appreciating what just showed up or valuing what just showed up. Is that true?
It often can be. Certainly there's a lot of value in appreciating what does show up. I mean, appreciating now is a big deal.
Okay. So just so I don't, of what I've shared so far, of course you can't know if what I'm saying is true or not, but just from a sort of a, that's an interesting perspective, or, oh, if that's true, then, whoa, that's got me thinking of what I've shared so far, that maybe this is mechanical, maybe it's not a problem of the mind, but the problem of the body. And based on these, we have a program that has a 90% success rate where we back up our results. Just based on that so far, what have I shared where you're like, that seems interesting, that's cool, that makes sense. What tickled your fancy?
I think for me, it's when you say, like, when is it a problem in your body? Is it a problem in your mind? Because, yeah, I do tend to feel, I'm definitely somebody who feels things. So I do feel it in my heart. I do feel it in my stomach. I do feel it in my body. So that kind of intrigued me.
Yeah. And why did it intrigue you?
Because, like you say, quite often you think it's in your mind. And I do try and pay attention to my body, but I never realized it was my body before my head. There
you go. Never realized. That's why this is valuable. What I'm sharing is simple. This is dead simple. But smart, capable people like you that have spent your life trying to haven't heard this stuff before. That's the implications of it. Not the information, just the information as it relates to what's being generally taught. Because what I share is not only effective, it's dead simple. People sometimes will say, well, how do you guys solve anxiety? Like, what pact with the devil? And, what do you use? What? And I was like, we just go to the right location. So if you're listening to this, again, please understand that this is not complicated. You've been accidentally led to believe it's complicated, but it's simple. And here's why it's simple. It's simple because once you go to the body, things get way simpler. When you're told this has anything to do with your mind, meaning that's the root cause of it, people don't understand the mind. It's complicated. There's like 180 billion neurons, I think 100 trillion synaptic pathways. They don't understand deep space really well, and they don't understand the mind really well. They kind of make guesses. But the body, well, hey now, that's different. We have a lot of understanding of the body. We understand the skeleton and the arteries and the ligaments and the lungs. There's a lot to the body that we understand and have had success going from things not working to working. If you've ever had pain in your teeth and you go to the dentist, you've known, hey, body problems can be solved. I blew my knee out when I was 21 trying to impress a girl with dance moves. I saw a music video where somebody flipped off a wall. And so I thought, ooh, I'll flip off a wall and I'll impress her. But I didn't stop and think, I wonder if I can flip off a wall. So I got about halfway up the wall, realized I can't flip off a wall, and then sort of pushed off the wall, still trying to look cool. And I landed and had that cool sort of superhero land on one knee, but I felt my entire knee explode.
Ouch.
Yeah, but I smiled. I let her know. I didn't let her know. Got the girl, but went to a knee doctor, and he's like, yeah, you completely ruptured your ACL. And I said, well, that's no good. He said, well, no, because we can repair it. So a knee is mechanical. They repaired it. I've never had any knee pain. I'm a dance machine. So that's because it's in the body. So once you're in the body, things get way simpler. So I said to my team, it's not enough to just know it's in the body. We need to understand why it's in the body and how to solve it. But once you go to the body, that becomes simple. Why? Because the body is made of systems, little individual systems. Your teeth are a system, your lungs are a system, your arteries are a system, your skeleton's a system. There's all these little systems. And systems have mechanics and engineering. And if you study systems, you can know why they fail and how to repair them. This doctor knew why my knee failed, the knee system, and how to repair it. When I needed a cavity fixed, there's an expert called a dentist who understands the tooth system and repaired it. It's great. So I asked my team, what system is causing the problems? Because if we can figure out the system and the mechanics, we can turn this bad boy around. And once we asked that simple question, the answer revealed itself. And it's so simple, you will kind of already know what it is. So let's take away the word anxiety, because that word is a bit misunderstood. And it's really just a label on a feeling. Let's instead use the word unsafe. And if you feel unsafe, you might label that feeling as nervous. So let's just go with the word nervous. Everyone's feeling little or a lot nervous. You could call it a little bit nervous is nervous, more nervous is worry, extra nervous is anxious, super duper nervous, panic attack. So let's take out all those labels and just say a lot of people are walking around on this planet feeling more nervous than they quote unquote should be. Okay, so to you, Walt, Anne-Marie, and your audience, what system in the body is probably most likely responsible for making people extra nervous? Is it A, the capillary system, B, the endocrine system, or C, the nervous system?
Do we play the Jeopardy theme here?
Do, 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 do. What say you, Walt? A, B, or C?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the nervous system.
Gold stars to you, Walt, to you, Anne-Marie, and your audience. And why am I giving gold stars to all three of you? Because I know that all of you said that. Anne-Marie even gave the answer before I even got to it.
I thought you were spacey. Sorry.
No, it's good. It's because you knew the answer. Why? Because the answer is obvious and simple. You've got millions of people feeling extra nervous. There's a system in the body that's got the word nervous right in there. Doesn't that just sort of make sense? That's where to look. But these mental health experts go, you know what? No. Let's call this a brain disorder. What is wrong with you? Now, if they had solved it, fine. But 100 years of modern psychology, anxiety's on the rise, suicide's on the rise, opioid epidemic, and still there's a nervous system. People are extra nervous, and the experts are like, let's look at the mind. No, guys, I'm sorry. The answer is everybody has a nervous system. It's a mechanical system, and we know that systems can malfunction and get out of whack. So your audience, I'm telling you, you are not broken. There is nothing wrong with you. You're not an anxious person. You don't have anxiety. You don't have a mental disorder or a mental illness. You have a system in your body called the nervous system. The nervous system is responsible for making you feel safe or unsafe. For reasons which I'll explain, it's malfunctioning and you're feeling unsafe when you should feel safe. And because your nervous system is malfunctioning, you feel unsafe, which then creates a feeling of nervousness, aka anxiety, doubt, insecurity. Now, the downside is this is what's going on, not theory. This is what allowed my anxiety to go away permanently and never come back. It's what allows us to have our clients' anxiety go away and never come back. But the downside is the experts didn't know this, so they're not able to solve your problem. The good news is a nervous system, like all systems in the body, are mechanical. And we already have an experience where mechanical systems, we know they can malfunction and they know they can be repaired. So to your audience, you just have a mechanical system issue. It's just a little wobbly, making you feel unsafe, but it's completely solvable.
One thing I do want to throw in, just as a clarification, I do believe the brain actually is part of the nervous system.
Yep. There's a lot of things that are part of because there's a mind-body connection and things are connected. The question is it part of or is it the root cause of? Absolutely. If you feel unsafe in your body, your mind will then start to spin. And when your mind does things or your mind is off balance, it'll make your body off balance and you'll get stuck into like a cycle. So it's connected. It's part of it. It's just a question of what's the root cause and what's an understanding that allows us to solve it. So yes, the mind is part of it. But I'm just here to tell you, when we developed a set of tools that repaired the nervous system so that I felt safe, the quote unquote other issues in my mind went quiet with it. I had a client 2 months ago come to me and she said, not only am I anxious in the body, but my mind is constantly racing, criticizing me, yelling at me, scaring the crap out of me. And I said, I know, it's a symptom of the body. And I said, in this program, we're going to go at the body, the actual root cause, because your mind is a symptom. Your mind is also going to go quiet. And she said, look, if you could get both, like I don't need both, but sounds good. She didn't believe me. I get that. So about 3 weeks in, she sends us a message and she's like, I didn't believe what Daniel said, but I get it. She said, I woke up for the first time in years. She said, I felt much calmer, much safer. She said, but also for the first time in years, that horrible, negative, scary mind, it wasn't yelling anymore. It was just whispering. And she was just so grateful because it gave her the ability to be more present and more joyful and more confident. So absolutely, Walt, the mind is part of it. But when you go at the nervous system body level, that's the root cause. And so you address the body and the mind simultaneously. It's a win-win. It's way more efficient.
I actually was saying that the brain is part of the nervous system. You tied in the mind, and certainly people associate the mind with the brain. I actually differentiate between them, but I get what you're saying.
Well, that's a valid point. I'm sorry. I misheard that. I would argue that what I said still applies somewhat.
Sure.
But also I would just say everybody that has gone through our program, last I checked, had a brain. And
otherwise they're not really conscious. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of connected pieces. I mean, when you're anxious, you can feel it in your toes. You know, there's a lot of connected pieces. The question is, what's the root cause and where do we go at it so it's solvable?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Do you have questions at this point, Anne-Marie? I can dive in if you don't, but I'll let you go first.
I don't have questions. I just know that if I ever feel anxious, which I mean, after my second child, I did have like postnatal anxiety. A lot of stuff happened and I didn't feel safe. I don't tend to feel that often now, but I literally just go straight to my heart and breathe through my heart. So I know I don't go to my mind. I know I already go to my body.
Yes, great. And we're not the only ones that understand the body is either the root cause or the smartest, most effective way to address this. Like, it's sort of common sense. I mean, people do breathing exercises. As you just said, Emery, you connect your body and that works. Why? Because you're in the right location. But also, there's the famous book by Bessel van der Kolk, Body Keeps the Score. There's the work by Gabor Mate and Russell Kennedy. Like, there are people that understand the body is the primary root cause. Now, a lot of therapists and psychologists and spiritual teachers don't get this, but there are people that do. The issue is the people that get it's in the body tend to give you approaches that will just manage it. breathing exercises, exercising, certain types of body reprogramming, usually it doesn't solve it. It's surface level. And so one of the big breakthroughs that we saw in our research is every system has gradations of health. And depending on the gradation of the health of the system, different tools will work at different levels. So what do I mean by this? Okay, take your teeth. If you just have a little bit of unhealth in your teeth, you'll have some puffy gums, maybe some bleeding in your gums. If that's all it is, then just some surface level brushing and flossing will get the job done. However, if your teeth go into a real state of disrepair, if the root of the tooth becomes infected and you need a root canal, can you see that surface level brushing and flossing won't get the job done?
Not going to cut it.
Not going to cut it. And why is it not going to cut it?
Because it's too far. It's too deep.
Exactly. It's gone too far. So what we saw is the nervous system is in a heavy state of disrepair. And so surface level things like breathing exercises, taking warm baths, things that address the body, they're not going deep enough. They're not doing a very important thing that we figured out how to do. They're not repairing the system. Your nervous system is in a state of disrepair, just like a root canal or you're having a heart attack. It's crashed and it needs to be repaired, not just surface level massaged. So that's what we spent the 6 years doing and optimizing, was to understand the mechanics and the steps and the sequence to take basically a crashed nervous system and first repair it. That's phase 1 of the program. We repair it. Phase 2 is that then we basically need to retrain the nervous system, kind of recalibrate it and bring it back to health. And then phase 3 is maintain so that this never happens again. So surface level stuff won't work. That's why breathing exercises work temporarily, but not permanently. They don't repair anything. They just massage. But if you want to figure out how to repair, retrain, and then maintain your nervous system so you're healthy and happy, and the value of that is that you just feel safe. You just wake up every morning and you feel safe. And this is why this is so effective. You don't have to keep working on it. I was working with a gentleman named Andy from Colorado. He came to me, he said, Daniel, I've had panic attacks, anxiety, complex PTSD my whole life, and I've spent all this money and all this time and nothing will get to it. I can't hang out with my kids. I'm just not fun anymore. And my wife wants happy Andy. And he said, I've kind of given up hope, but I met somebody at a party who did your program, had panic attacks like me, and they swore by it. And then he said, I found out that you only charge at the end. So that got me intrigued. And I said, what if you could just wake up feeling safe? Can you see that that would get all your symptoms at once? He said, oh my God, yeah. He said, but I haven't felt safe since I was a kid. I was like, I know, welcome to the club. So he goes through the program and he reaches out, probably, I think it was around week 5. And he said, I just woke up feeling safe from the first time since I was a kid. I've never felt this feeling before. But he said, and then the fear and the anxiety went quiet. And he said, for the first time in a long time, I was outside playing with my kids. And I was happier. And my wife could see it in me. I was smiling again. And he said, the power of what we've discovered in this simple mechanical approach, it's not just about anxiety. It's giving people a foundation to be free of this and to show up not just for themselves, but their kids, their spouses, the world. Can you both see, and your audience, if you could wake up every morning feeling safe from the inside out, can you see how much better life would be and how much more effectively you would show up in the world?
Oh, sure.
Oh, without doubt.
Yeah.
Life would be a lot brighter, wouldn't it?
Well,
What'd you say, Anne-Marie?
I said life would be a lot brighter, and you know,
It would be.
Yeah.
And this is not theoretical. Exhibit me. Okay, I was insecure. I had a crazy mind that would yell at me like the 2 judges from the Muppets. I was in the fetal position and I couldn't leave my house. Now, my mind is either quiet or says nice things. I'm not making this up. I look in the mirror. I'm 50. I'm losing my hair. And my voice, which used to tell me I was ugly and unlovable, just tells me I'm beautiful. awesome. I'm also just not managing things. I wake up every morning feeling safe, no anxiety, no fear. My this energy level, this is not cocaine. This is my natural state because I have a healthy nervous system, and it's not temporary. It is permanent. It's my default state. Now you may say, well, that's you, Daniel. But there's another group that lives like this. There's another group that has a healthy nervous system before it went unhealthy. And that group is children. Children up to the age of about 4 or 5 have a healthy nervous system. So they feel safe. So guess what? You don't hear children talk like unsafe adults. You'll never hear a 5-year-old say, I'm really thinking about going to the park, but I'm just worried about the future. And will they pick me at tag? And I have a real scarcity mindset around playing in the sandbox. Or if you ask a child, what do you want to be when they grow up? They're not insecure. They say, I want to be an astronaut, unicorn, pilot, superhero. They're full of optimism and love and have tons of energy. You don't see depressed 4-year-olds. So to your audience, if you've ever said, man, when I was a kid, I was confident, I was open-hearted, that version of you is still in you if you can bring your nervous system back to health. I have the nervous system of a 5-year-old child, and that's why I'm like this. And that's what I want for your audience, is to feel young again, happy again, joyful again, permanently.
This has been really interesting, and I'm realizing I'm running out of time, so I'm not going to get a whole lot of time to get my questions asked. But I'm going to ask one question as my summary question, so to speak, to kind of give me a chance to hear a little bit of what I was looking for in an answer, and yet not carry it on for another hour and a half, which is this.
Wait, Walt, before you ask,
yep.
I care about people. And I see that analytical, curious systems mind of yours. And I know you know a lot about this topic from your own valuable knowledge. And I know you're about to ask a question that I know I am not going to answer. And I don't want to set you up for failure. So I'm happy to let you ask your question,
Good.
But I also want to care for you. And I have a feeling that you're going to express your beautiful questioning self. And I also don't want you to ask a question I'm not going to answer. But that said, let it rip.
Okay. I'm going to try to keep it as simple as I possibly can.
Please do.
I'm going to try to do it within the confines of the structure that we've been discussing here. I'm going to make it really, really simple, which is, you say that it's a permanent solution. I think most of us have been through various things where we have varying degrees of success, varying degrees of failure, and so on and so forth. And I guess my question comes down to this: how do I know it's permanent?
Well, that's an excellent question, and I appreciate you challenging me on my language and what I'm saying. I'm making these big promises, and you're like, all right, Daniel, I'll buy it. What's that look like? How do you know? Excellent question, Walt. Way better question than I thought you were going to ask. Well, not better question, just excellent question.
Well, I do my best.
No, it's an excellent question, and you're listening to what I'm saying, and you're just giving a reasonable challenge to it and bringing clarity. So there's a bunch of answers. And by the way, I appreciate both of you. You're listening, you're engaged, and you're asking good questions. And also this allows me to answer your questions and be on my tippy toes. And, I get to be in my purpose right now. I'm having fun. Are you having fun? I'm having fun.
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah,
This is very different interviews. So yeah, that's always fun.
You're saying other guests haven't come on and treated you like craps to make you feel unsafe? You're saying I'm the first one?
Oh, you're probably not the first one, but
That's not quite what I'm saying, but I'll go with that for now.
All right. So the question was, how do you know that results are permanent?
Yes. That's
Okay. From your perspective, where you're sitting and your audience is sitting for right now, you don't know. What I'm talking about is some theoretical thing that everybody wants, which is freedom. And given your average audience member and your experience, this stuff comes and goes. It's never solved. And I can't prove to you in this moment that it's solved. So in this moment, there's nothing I can do. Here's what I can tell you. Download the free technique at the end so that you can have an experience and you can feel it. When you feel it within yourself, it'll make a lot more sense that this is permanently solvable. So that's the first thing I'll say. There's nothing I can say. Go experience it for yourself. Secondly, as people go through the program, we're tracking data. There's an intake questionnaire where you are measuring your anxiety and fear in multiple key metrics. Then you're measuring it numerically yourself multiple times a day. So we have a data set that shows it's going down and going down and going down and then plateauing and staying down. Then, as you're going through the program, I explained to you there's 3 phases: repair, retrain, and maintain. The maintain means that when you get the results, you now are properly trained with a daily habit to keep the results. Thing 3, we track the data of our clients post-program up to 2 years. And based on that data, it's solved. So between the data and also with our program, if we don't solve your anxiety and it's not permanent, we don't charge you. So I can't prove to you that we solve it, but we have a company that only gets paid when it's solved permanently. And either my company doesn't function and I'm just an independently wealthy, prince and just do this for fun, but I'm losing lots of money, or we're actually solving people's anxiety and getting paid, and that keeps the company afloat.
Okay. I still have my question, though. My question, I don't think is perhaps, like you said, maybe you can't answer it. Maybe it's not possible to answer it within the current context. But even with what you just said, the question remains. I mean, you don't get paid until it's a permanent solution. But how do I know that it's permanent? It's a chicken or egg situation. Like, at some point, I have to come to the conclusion that it's permanent for you to get paid.
Yeah. So again, the word "how do you know" means, I guess, here's what I would say. If I think of that, how would I know it's solved? It means that for the rest of my life, it never comes back. That's when I would quote unquote know.
Which means I can't really pay you until my life is over.
Right. So if your definition of no is that we'll check in 20 years, then you're right. You can't know for sure. What I can tell you, and you can't know, I know. Mine went away almost 10 years ago, gone, solved. Now, you don't know. I'm just telling you it's possible. So you at least know it probably worked with me, unless I'm a psychopath and I'm just totally lying. So you don't ever know. But here's what I can tell you. Out of the last 200 people that went through our program, one person didn't feel it was solved and didn't want to pay. We didn't make them pay.
Okay.
So out of 200 people, 199 were satisfied enough to say this was solved enough that I'm happy to pay for this program. So you can't know. I'm telling you what happened to 199 people. I'm telling you what happened to me. But also, you just don't know. There's a bit of risk. But what I always tell people is we have the confidence to back up our program. We have the beautiful goal to solve something. Like, we're throwing around these big words of solving and backing up our results. And you're like, well, how do I know for sure? You don't. But it's still a way better value proposition than throwing thousands of dollars at people who don't get results and don't back it up. It would be like if you're drowning in the ocean, and you've been drowning for years, and you've hired people to help you, and nobody's helped you, and you've just been drowning and drowning and drowning. And then we walk up and we're like, hey, we can solve this drowning thing, and you only pay when you're on the beach safe and sound. You're not going to say, well, how do I know you can save me? How do I know you have a boat? How do I know? You don't know. But it sounds a lot better than just being stuck paying a lot of money and time to just stuck drowning. So how do you know? You don't. But I have a feeling, to your audience listening to this, that what I'm sharing with you, even without 100% knowing, still sounds a heck of a lot better than what they've been doing in the past.
I think the key phrase that you used that really brought it home was they feel good enough that it's permanent. It feels permanent enough. And I think that really is the root of it right there. If it feels like it's good enough, then value has been transferred and people have gotten out of what they wanted to get. I think it really comes down to what does permanent mean to you? And permanent's going to mean something different to every person. But when so many people say, yep, that's permanent enough for me, that sounds like a win to me.
Yeah. And it's, people have different results. There are people that literally come out with just, it's gone, panic attack, gone, and just gone. Then there are people that feel 80%. And also remember, the program is only 6 weeks. It's not that long. So to be trying to pull this off in 6 weeks. So some people come through the program, they get about a 70% improvement. And then they just keep using the tools to go lower and lower and lower. But that 70 never goes away. You keep that, and you have a toolkit to keep going. So to a lot of people, you got me 70% calmer permanently in 6 weeks.
Huge.
like, you know, it's a huge win. So everyone's going to have their definition of solved, but what matters is, will they feel justified paying our fee? And when you figure that the average person might spend $5,000 to $10,000 a year on therapy and retreats and psychology and apps and get no solution, our program is $2,000 and guarantees a permanent solution. That's a sweet deal, man. That is a sweet deal.
So now it comes to the $2,000 question, which is, how do they find it?
How do they find what?
The program.
Well, thank you for asking. I don't want to send them to the program because, again, until they have an experience, they're going to be too skeptical and too good to be true, or this won't work for me. I've just seen it. It's really sad. They've been so confused by the experts that it's hard for them to even fathom that this can be simple and solvable when you've had something your whole life. So we don't send people to the program. We send people to my website to get a free training. Now, I like things simple. Have you sensed that, Walton Emery? Have you sensed I like my stuff simple?
Oh, very definitely, yes.
Yeah. KISS. Yeah. Keep it simple, sexy. Do you guys like simple?
I think simple can be very valuable.
Yeah. Do you want a complicated, confusing approach that you may not solve anything for years, or would you like a simple solution?
Yeah, I can hardly wait for that first one, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we all like a quick fix, don't we?
So let's keep it simple. I'm going to send you to my website. My name is Daniel Packard. What do you think my website is if I like to keep things simple?
Well, if I look at the name on the screen, it's Daniel Packard.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like I'm cheating now, Daniel, because
that was kind of impetuous, yeah.
But we'll go danielpackard.com.
Fair enough. You know, that could have just been my given name. My parents were ahead of the curve, and they were like, let's just call him danielpackard.com.
I suppose that's always possible. 99.999% unlikely, but possible. Yeah, sure.
If they did, I would call my son danielpackard.net. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Or .org. Who knows? Anyway, to your audience, look, I hope I've made sense. And I hope for some of you that what you've heard, you've gone, this guy's making sense. It's not in my mind, it's in my body. And if you go from the right location to the wrong, if you go from the wrong location to the right location, it seems you'd probably have a better success rate. Also, he seems passionate about this whole solution thing. Also, it makes sense. It's the nervous system, and systems in the body can malfunction. They can be repaired. You can repair teeth, knees, hearts, skin. Why not the nervous system? It all makes sense. But how do I know? You don't know. So go to danielpackard.com and you're going to get a training. I like to keep things simple. What do you think I'm charging for this training?
I don't think you're charging anything for it.
I am not. It is free because that is simple. Let's make things simple. Your audience has been through hell. It doesn't need to be hard. Take my name, put.com, go get the free training. And here's what you're going to learn. You're going to understand what you're doing every day accidentally that's making you feel unsafe. It's not the economy. It's not social media. It's not your boss. It's not your past. It's something you're doing every day and you don't even know it. It's simple. And you are accidentally making your nervous system feel unsafe, aka nervous, and making you anxious. Then you're going to understand theoretically how to repair your nervous system so you can feel safe. Then you're going to apply one of our techniques. It's not the whole system, but it's one of our techniques that we chose because it works quickly and you can feel it working quickly. You're going to apply this technique and you are going to feel measurably, because you're going to measure it, measurably safer and less anxious. And something that used to make you feel unsafe and anxious before won't make you as feel that way. You're going to feel safer and less anxious. Even though the outside world is the same, you're going to feel different because you aren't the same. You're going to feel safer. And what that's going to give you is your own experience to not only show you how this process works, but more importantly, that it works for you. You can't trust me. I'm just saying stuff. I could be a total pathological liar. You can only trust your experience. So you've had a lot of negative experiences that have told you this is a complicated life sentence. I want to give you a new experience to give you hope of possibility that you can get rid of this permanently and that it could even be simple. So if you think 45 minutes is a good use of time to understand why you feel unsafe and then how to feel safe so that you can wake up every morning feeling calm and more confident, so you can be happier and more joyful and show up to not only yourself, but your family and the world permanently. If that sounds good to you, you come to my website, which is what, Walt and Anne-Marie?
DanielPackard.com.
DanielPackard.com.
Booyah.
I have to say, this has been one of the more interesting interviews we've had in quite some time, Anne-Marie, but I always like to go to you to get the summary. So have you thought about what it is the one thing that you want to pull out of all that stuff that Daniel was bringing our way as the big takeaway for the day?
I think it's I think anything that is going to help you look after yourself, your mind, your body, is worth a try. We all enter things. When I got married and spent tens of thousands of pounds on my wedding, I didn't know it was going to be forever, but I invested into that because I believed. So I'm intrigued to know what it is, and I will go and try it. And I think, what have you got to lose? It sounds exciting. And if it works for you, amazing.
See, Daniel, this is why I have Anne-Marie do my summaries. I mean, she's really good at it.
Well, not only did I work really hard to take this complicated topic and make it simple and give people hope. I really work hard. Like my presentation, I didn't just wake up this morning. I mean, I work on it because I know that communicating this effectively is how we're going to help people. And what you said, Anne-Marie, was exactly the outcome, is to be curious, just to be curious, not convinced, just curious. And what do you have to lose? It's a free training, the 45-minute. And when you work with us, you only pay at the end. So it's zero risk to try the program. When it does work, you get your life back. Like nothing to lose, everything to gain. That is just a sweet value proposition. And Anne-Marie, you had that really sweet, posh BBC voice that makes everything sound more legitimate.
I'll take that compliment, thank you.
One of the many reasons I keep her on the program is exactly that posh BBC voice.
In Britain, I'm not posh, but hey ho.
Daniel, this has been really, really fascinating. Thank you for sharing this time with us. One thing I want to tell you is something that I tell all of our guests who come out of the program, because everybody who comes onto this program is giving back to society. I mean, you're doing it through your invention, but you're also doing it by reaching out and doing presentations like this one. And very often we don't get recognized for certain things where these gift valuations are concerned. We give things to people we've never met, we've never seen, never will meet, never will see. And we just through the presentation, we help them in ways we never even find out about. And we don't get thanked for it. So on behalf of those people you've never met and you've never seen, thank you for what you've been giving, because you're making a difference in this world, even before they go to DanielPackard.com.
Thank you, Walt. And I appreciate you taking the time to say that. And it's true. The average person feels very unseen and unappreciated. So thank you for seeing that and wanting to just do the important, simple things that matter, which is to appreciate people, recognize people, to understand people. And then also it resonates with me because when we developed this program, we thought, oh my God, we're going to help millions. It solves this pain point, and it's all online and it's relatively affordable, and we back up our results. We're going to help millions. We're helping some, but we're not helping nearly enough people. Why? Because people are so damn skeptical, because everything they've tried hasn't worked yet. So they assume this won't work. So I'm out here trying to save the planet, and constantly we get, oh, you're a scam. Well, how do you know? What about this? And I'm like, I'm trying to get you in the lifeboat. Look, I'm fine. I don't need this. I feel safe. I'm trying to help. But because people can't process it, we don't get it. I get appreciated by the people that get in the lifeboat and have their lives back. But 30 years from now, what we're teaching is going to become common knowledge. Just like it took about 30 years for what Florence Nightingale taught, it took about 30 years for that to catch on. But she got criticized heavily by the medical community because what she discovered was more effective and simple. That's what we've got. So we get more hate than appreciation. So that's okay. I've signed up for this. But I appreciate you, Walt, for taking the time to just see and appreciate what we're doing, because it is incredible and it's nice to be seen for that.
Very good. Excellent. So thank you once again for joining us, Anne-Marie. As usual, thank you. And good to have you back again. I mean, we really did miss you there. Yeah.
I've
And
loved it. Thank you, Walt.
And thank you to our podcast listeners everywhere. We will see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye. If this will let me play. Maybe it won't.
Is he there? Hey, Walt, are you there? Walt, I can't hear you.
So it's always good. But I'm here. I'm giving them one-on-one. I'm saying the most same things because you don't pay attention to detail is exactly like yours. Or you really do me making a mistake. You know, when I said, this bike.